Welcome to the Jointery podcast, a podcast where we study the lives of study the lives of two dads trying to find the balance between the families, hobbies and work. This week on the Jointery, we discover...
I mean, I've chased Bubs and he's chased me, but I have not gone out for a jog.
Let's search for the meaning of life as it had never been witnessed before. The Jointery podcast.
And we're off! Episode 34, the Walter Payton of episodes, bro.
Ooh, Walter Payton or Gale Sayers? Which one is your favorite of the
Walter,
two?
Man.
Walter?
Gale was before my time, right?
He was before your time, you're right.
But Walter was in my prime. Dude, I remember, growing up, they would have
prime. Your prime.
Yeah, dude.
He played in the 80s. Are you telling your prime was the 80s?
Yeah, dude, I peaked a long time ago, dude. I'm just here now. I'm not really offering much to anybody. I'm just here.
Oh, that's too funny, man. No, Walter Payton was the shit, man. He's one of the best running backs I ever saw play, for sure.
And you know how all these athletes and celebrities, they always end up later down the road, you end up finding horrible shit about the person,
Yeah.
He's one of those people. I'm like, please don't destroy my view of the universe. Just leave it there. I don't care if he was a bit of an alcoholic, right?
Yeah.
I just don't want to hear that he did anything exceptionally horrible.
Yeah.
They give the Walter Payton Award in football to the player with the most character.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Please don't ruin that. I fucking hate the world so much if you fuck with that. I don't want to hear any shit about that.
I think he's Teflon. You know what I mean? I think he was one of those guys that was nothing bad. He just did his thing, played his career, got out, and was a normal person.
Then he died.
Well, then he died, of course.
Yeah.
What did he die from? Do you remember?
It was leukemia or it was something bad.
Oh, okay.
Quick. I forget. I'm not going to Google it. Then I'll fucking get real sad for the rest of this podcast. I'll be like, speaking of podcast, dude, I was on another podcast yesterday.
Cheating on me. Cheating on me.
Yeah, I was for sure. I was trying to get some intel about how podcasts are supposed to be run. Now that we have this podcast,
that's smart.
I realized. So I went on Maker Skills podcast. With PJ and Tanda and Tom, the Frog Pod guy. I don't know if I'm supposed to call him Frog Pod, dude. But yeah, I want to reassure you that they're not doing much else different than we're doing it.
Oh, okay. So we're on the right track, is what you're saying.
Yeah. What was I going to mention about that though? I had something in my head, and then I went back to thinking about Walter Payton, and
was it about the Patreons, how they do their Patreons, or is it about
no?
What I find interesting about that podcast is don't they make you do homework? Isn't that the one thing about that podcast? They invite you on, but then they're like, here's a bunch of homework to do before you come on the podcast.
So the running joke of the entire podcast was that Tom invited me to be on, and he was supposed to send me that email that was here's all the stuff you need to do before you come on the podcast, and he didn't send it. They have 4 or 5 segments, and every time we hit a segment, they're like, okay, Luke, here's what we do for this day. So I was completely unprepared for all of it.
Yeah.
And so I was completely unprepared for all of the segments, and it was always well, if you had the email, Tom, you this would have gone smoother. And it made me feel good because I was not a lot goes smooth with our podcast. We interviewed John last week, and it took us 4 times to get it started. I'm so apparently the professional level of podcasters is pretty flexible.
Yeah, I mean it's a new medium still.
What was
after 5-7 years or 10 years now, the podcast being out.
So dude, people are still podcasting's 20 plus years old, man.
20 now? Is it 20 now? I don't know if it's 20 yet.
It was after the iPod.
I think Rogan and them
iPhone
have been doing it for a little over 10 years ish.
Now I feel like I gotta Google shit.
Now you gotta Google. Now you gotta get out the Google machine.
Long? Wait, how long has pod?
I'm curious. I know it's probably over 10. It's probably maybe
late 2004. Podcasting, also known as audio blogs, has roots dating back to the 80s. With the advent of broadband internet access and portable digital playback devices such as the iPod, podcasting began to catch hold in 2004.
Okay. So we're almost 20 years. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, apparently I should have done a bunch of research for the podcast though. So yeah, but
I remember listening to Dre's episode of the Crafts with Dre. It was on that podcast with them, and yeah, that was the one thing she was like, I didn't realize when I said yes to this podcast that I would have to do hours of research and homework before the podcast. I was like, that just sounds to me like it was like, yeah, it's PJ. It doesn't surprise me whatsoever. You know what I mean? Like,
I gave you a shout out at the end.
Oh wow,
yeah, because they were like. They're like, you have anything to promote or say? And I was like, not really. And they're like, don't you have a podcast? And I was like, oh, yeah.
God damn it.
I was like, give a shout out to my boy, Ben.
God damn it. Dude, I'm doing whatever. I'm killing myself over here trying to get this thing off the ground. And you're on another podcast and you can't even fucking promote our podcast? Jesus Christ.
Did. I promoted it at the end. So, but I did. They did ask me like what my 5 skills were. Right? They're like, what are your top 5 skills other than, and of course, don't worry, I've deleted this off my phone since I did it.
Of course.
But so I was like, oh, top 5 skills. I was like barbecuing. I was like, driving boats, but not, but not buying boats, because I still am an excellent boat captain. I just suck at buying boats. And then, but one of them, I was like, at my last skill, I was debating between either sales, which is like, I've been doing sales my whole life, or joint rolling. And they were like, but they were half listening when I said it. And they were like joinery, like with a rolled woodworking joint kind of a thing. I was like, no, like get some weed and roll that shit up. I'm like, they were like, oh. They didn't really deep dive into it, but you'll appreciate I completely sidetracked the conversation at least 2 or 3 times by talking about food, and like there was That's like awesome. One part where like I was talking about the cake or pie question that I love asking people, and PJ was like, I hate cake. I'm going to go with pie. And after we talked about it for like 15 minutes, like Tom was like rubbing his head. And I hear him go, he's like, how the fuck did we get on this topic? He's like, shouldn't we be talking about like maker skill shit that we always talk about? We're talking about baking. What the fuck?
That's too funny, man. I find that though, like every time we go on things now, somehow it turns to food. I do that on Clubhouse. It seems like whenever we pop in a room on Clubhouse, it turns to food. Same thing on freaking my in the shop lives on Thursdays. The last couple of weeks, like somehow the conversation gets turned to food. I'm like, is this just like everything me and Luke touch now becomes the Joinery podcast? It's just funny,
and this is the way it should be. But it should look. I wanted to comfort you. Right, because what I learned by being on another podcast was that I ruin all podcasts I'm on. It's not just this one.
It's not just ours.
So like, there's just like, why the fuck do we have this guy on? Like, I don't know when people are gonna figure it out, but like, I come on and it's like, they're like, okay, here's what we're gonna talk about today, and I'm like, okay, well, we could also talk about what we're having for lunch, and they're like,
Oh geez, man, that's so funny. That's awesome though. I'm glad you had that good experience. I like their podcast. It's not anything normal that you hear on other maker podcasts, which is cool. I like that they kind of went out of the way to do stuff differently and talk about new, like what do they talk about? They talk about like what's one of the things that was like
the junk shit that they bought.
The junk they bought.
The deals they got. The deals.
The deals they got. Thank you.
Which I almost gave PJ an aneurysm on that one. Because like he asked me up front, he's like, have you gotten any deals lately? And I was like, yeah, man, actually I did. He was like, oh, really? What'd you get? And I was like, I got a free tool when I bought some Ryobi batteries. And he was like, what? I'm like, yeah, they were running this promotion that if you buy this 2-pack of batteries, you get a free tool. And I got this like little portable charger thing that was like $80. And he was like, no, that's not. He goes, do you even have it? I'm like, well, no, I'm not going to get it until like the 4th, but it's shipped. I've paid for it. And he was just like he didn't know what to say. He was like, oh, because he's like he had some cool deals where he was doing all this shit and getting shit from like swap meets and tool swaps and whatever. And here I am. I'm like, the Ryobi tools were on sale.
I'm really disappointed in us actually right at this point because we haven't referred to him as TJ Karate one time since we've been talking about it.
You know what? God damn it! That's the second time. Because I got off the podcast last night, and I even think about PJ Karate, and I was talking to Luke Smith from Peel Smith because he's moving and stuff.
Oh, okay.
And he was like, "Oh, PJ Karate." And I was
it's
like,
actually,
son of a bitch!
It's TJ Karate. First off, TJ Karate, and we blew it, man, and you blew it. I can't believe it.
I'm still blowing it. Still blowing it. Like I said, I'm just here to make things worse.
Well, that's awesome, man. That sounds like a great experience. I'm glad you had fun.
It was fun. I can't remember what I was going to say the first part, but yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, I went to Austin this weekend. Man. I went to Austin this weekend.
Yeah, dude,
and that was fun.
I've been dying to talk to you about that, man, because like I've been to Austin once and I loved it. So, and you had a fantasy football draft, right?
Yeah, that's what we went for. We went to me and 12 or 11 other friends that we've been playing together for 20 years now. We went out there because like half the league, we all started here in Orange County together, or I'm not even in Orange County anymore. I'm in Riverside County, but we all started in Orange County together and out here in California. And then now over the last 20 years, we've spread out all across the country, right? So we have people on the East Coast, people on the East Coast. We have 4 people in Texas. Anyways, so we went there, did our fantasy football draft, and Austin's cool, man. Austin's a fun little spot to hang out in.
I got lots of questions.
Yeah.
About this. But I guess like the part that I'm most impressed is that did everybody who was drafting make it for the trip? Did the whole league make it?
Yeah, all 12 of us were there. So
fuck. Like, dude, like that's my biggest issue with my league when I had my own league for like 18 years or something like that, and ended up giving it to my brother because I got so frustrated every year for the draft that everybody is in Chicago except for like 1 or 2 people, and I'm like, we couldn't even get together for like 2 hours at my house on a Saturday. I'm like, or Sunday, and everyone was like, no, I don't want to make time for football. I've got anything else is more important. So
yeah, it's tough because we, same thing. Everybody has lives and families and kids and everything like that, but we as a group have really committed to getting together every year if possible. If possible.
It's admirable.
Yeah. So it's tough.
So what made you guys decide on Austin?
Well, the other part of the whole thing is if you win the league, you get to choose where we draft the next year. So,
whoa.
Yeah. So
that is a big one.
Yeah, so 2 people, or like I said, 4 guys in our league now live in Texas. 2 of them live right outside of Austin, and then one of them lives in Waco, and the other one lives in Houston. And so the one of the 2 brothers, they are brothers who live right outside of Austin, had won last year. So that's why he picked Austin. So.
I mean, that is a real incentive to winning the league, bro. I mean, holy crap. That is impressive. So have you ever been to Austin?
I've never been. No, I've only been to Texas flying through Dallas. I've only been to the airport. You know what I mean?
What'd you think of Austin?
That's cool. It was fun. It was it looks a lot like California. I mean, to be honest, like the area I was in, looks a lot like the area I live in. You know what I mean? Like Riverside is kind of like a rural, kind of deserty looking area, and so is Austin.
Mhm.
Basically, it's like the same. But the people there were really nice. We went down to 6th Street. There's a scene there that isn't like anywhere else, though. At least not where like anywhere around here.
Yeah, half of the city geographically is the college.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the whole north side of the city. So there's so many young people there.
Oh yeah, it was like midnight on Saturday, and my buddy, no, Friday, midnight on Friday, and my buddy Adam was like, "Hey, you want to just, the rest of the guys were like playing poker and stuff, and I busted out early, and he's like, "You want to go for a walk?" And I was like, "Yeah, let's go. Let's just cruise around." So we just walked. We were staying like 6th Street is like the main drag of this area where there's tons of bars and tons of clubs, and you know what I mean. It's like the little downtown area, and we were like 5 blocks up from there. So we walked down there, and I was just blown away, man. There's so many people. Out.
Yeah.
It was just crazy. It was just insane. It was like I wasn't expecting it. And as you're walking towards the street, we're like I said, we were like 5 or 6 blocks up. So like getting closer and closer, as you get closer and closer to 6th Street, you just start hearing like a hum of people, and it's just getting louder and louder and louder. And then all of a sudden you're there, and it's just like people everywhere. And I'll tell you what, we felt old as hell.
I was gonna say, man, like, when you bump it into those college kids, man, like you're old enough to like easily be their parent, right?
Bro, there's nobody on this strip that looked like our age. You know what I mean? They're all like looked like straight out of like 18, 19.
Like, were you older than the managers at the bar?
Oh, for sure, bro. And I've grown my beard out, so like my beard is like long and gray, and like I look like grandpa walking around out there. It's just funny, man.
Yeah.
Did
like the young people look at you like a novelty? Like, oh, look at this.
Who let the old guys in here?
Who's that guy who looks like he's lost his will to live?
Yeah. Or just lost in general? Who's that guy who looks lost? But yeah, no, it's
like, kid, you look at me. This is what happens after you face reality.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was a good time. We walked around. We didn't, the first night we didn't go into any bars or anything like that, or clubs or anything. We just me and him, we were just kind of cruising, just people watching and checking stuff out.
What's the best thing you ate? That's really what I want to know.
Oh, so then Friday night before we got back to the house, we went out to like a steakhouse dinner place.
Okay.
And I got, for the first time I'd ever had a Wagyu.
Yeah.
Wagyu.
Yep.
Wagyu. I had myself a Wagyu burger with bacon, and it was like a Western style kind of Wagyu burger. It had bacon, and it had onion rings, or like not onion rings, but crispy onion straw thingies on it. And that was amazing, man. That was just so good. I had that Friday night, and then one of the other times we had like a barbecue, like I didn't go to an actual barbecue spot because everybody was like, "Oh, it's too busy. It's going to take too long." So you got
places to go and people to see.
No, just like the days, like Friday night we didn't have time. Saturday Friday night we went to the steakhouse because they all wanted to go to like a fancy steakhouse, right? So, and then Saturday we were in Spicewood, which is the city that my buddies live in, right outside of Austin. We were there all day barbecuing at his house and going in the pool and having that's what we did Saturday. Basically, spent the day at his house, and then Sunday was the draft. So we were at the ping pong location, like the Smash. It was called Smash. It was like we had our own private, like half the restaurant was ours, with like ping pong tables, and like we ate there, and we drank and ate and all day and whatnot. So I didn't really get to go to any like barbecue places because we were basically busy the whole time. So but it was good. I mean, the food there was good.
Was it like a bachelor party almost?
It was, and the place we stayed, the place we stayed is the number one place in Austin for bachelorette parties. It's the number one. So like we
Were there bachelorette parties there while you were there?
no. Just like this house that we stayed at is like rated
Okay.
like the number one destination for bachelorette parties in Austin because like I said, it's like 6 blocks up from 6th Street. The house is like super fancy. It's like it was like a old boarding house. You know what I mean? Like it just had like or an old hotel or something. You know what I mean? Like it was 2 stories. You walk in and there's just rooms. And there's no like big common area or anything. The only big common area in this place was in the kitchen. It had like a big like kind of like open room that you would picture like they back in the day. They probably had table like 2 different tables at, and people rented rooms probably there and came down and ate their food and went all about their day and everything. And but yeah, this spot was great. The location was awesome. We had so much fun. You know, we were up all fucking night playing poker and hanging out and just having a good old time. And yeah, it was fun, dude. It was a good time. Austin's a fun city. It is.
Yeah, I'd like to go back there. My buddy Jordan from Growler is there, so I'd have to visit him.
Yeah, I wanted to hook up. I wanted to try and hook up with Jordan while I was there. I did text Alejandro, our friend Alejandro, who works in Austin, who's from there. But we just, I didn't have time. I didn't have time to hook up with anybody really. You know what I mean? It was just, we were just busy having a good old time. And, yeah, had a blast and, drafted a good team. So I'm excited about that. And, yeah, so Austin, overall. Oh, the one thing about Austin though, man, the fucking weather is horrible.
Oh, really?
Dude, it was hot as just all hell and humid.
I mean, dude,
like,
the humidity. That's what got you, right?
Yeah, the heat wasn't as bad, but the humidity was just awful, dude. It was just like I don't understand how people live there, man. You walk outside, and it was just fucking. I was just drenched. You know what I mean? Like that walk that we took. I told you Friday night that we went on that walk. Yeah. By the time I got back from that walk, my shirt was just completely like wet. You know what I mean? Like it was just like I was just wearing like I had jumped in a pool. It was crazy. But you know,
so you lost some weight while you were out there.
Yeah, I'm sure I did, to be honest, because I was walking and sweating my ass off, and although I did eat a lot too, so that might have counterbalanced it. Yeah,
thank God.
Yeah, but it's fun though. Austin's a cool city. I don't know if I can live there because of the damn weather, but I enjoyed visiting. That was cool.
I say the same thing about California.
Like, although it's not the same, dude. It's not even close. Like I fucking was like, I got off the airplane back here at home, and I was just like, it's still like 90 degrees, but it was just like, oh, this is refreshing. It was like
the air, the California air hits you, and you're like, oh, I'm home.
Yeah, it's because it's not wet. You know what I mean? It's like a dry heat. So it's great. So
no, that's how it is in Chicago. It's like, congrats, it's 100 degrees outside, and it's like 25% humidity, and it's like, oh, oof, it's aggressive.
Yeah, you're like swimming. It's like, jeez.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's cool, man. What else you got going on? Yeah, what's been going on this week?
I just got home, and Debbie, we started tearing into like some stuff in the shop, just kind of reorganizing our house and kind of getting things back together. School starts next week, bro. We're back in it, like full time.
Wild, man. Oh God, I think we're like still over a month out.
That's crazy to me. I it's so weird to me how school schedules across the country are just so different. You know what I mean? Because a lot of even people here in California, even in Orange County versus Riverside County is different. They're like our friends in Orange County. They're not starting for another 3 weeks. So it's just strange how like they're, I don't know. It's just weird, but we get out early too. So
did you do a lot of back to school shopping and all that?
No, we're going to go. I thought Debbie might have done that this weekend while I was gone, but she didn't. So we're going to go this weekend and buy, we're not going to buy a bunch of stuff. We're going to get a backpack. We're going to get him like a couple outfits. And then maybe
it's crazy how quick kids go through backpacks, bro.
Oh yeah. They destroy theirs every year. It's funny. I don't know, and it's probably because and I probably did the same thing. You take it off, you throw it on the ground at school. It's like you don't take care of them. They're just like
I mean, I don't think about my backpack very often, but like I've had my backpack for like 5 years and it's still in great shape. I like Bubs has a backpack for like 6 weeks and it's like ripped and holes in it and like
yeah. Just picture yourself running to the playground every day. I can just picture in my head Frankie, dropping him off at school. He runs to the playground. As he's getting to the playground, he's stripping off his backpack, full sprint, and it just lands on the ground and just across the ground. You know what I mean? Like they don't, they're made out of cheap nylon. They're not made out of.
I was with you that whole time until you said, "Picture yourself running," and then I was like, "No, don't want to picture myself running." It's embarrassing.
When's the last time you ran? That's a better question.
I mean, I've chased Bubs and he's chased me, but like I have not gone out for a jog. So I'm not sure that's going to come as a huge surprise to our listeners. So I still work out like 3 times a week. It's no jogging.
You say that to me every time. I always look at you like, what are you working out?
Dude, I lift weights, which is probably not helping that much, but I need to. My dad's probably listening to this going, I told you to work in some cardio. I'm like, oh my God. Like,
so I'm really strong. I'm really strong under all this, is what you're trying to say.
Dude, it takes a lot of muscle to keep this fat moving as nimbly as I do. So, the amount of mass I'm swinging around, you kidding me? And look, it has its advantages, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Jeez. Yeah, I told Ellie, I was like, because she, my kids are also out of shape. Like Bubs, like I could run about as far as Bubs can run, right? Which is sad because he's 6.
Yeah.
But like Ellie is definitely more athletic. But she like when she plays soccer and stuff, she gets winded by the last quarter, so she's just kind of like lumbering around.
Yeah.
And I was like, if you want to be, I was like, the game is won in the last bits. I'm like, if you had more energy at the end, I was like, when all the other girls don't have energy, you would be scoring on them.
Yeah, exactly.
Instead of standing there waiting around. And she's like, well, how do I do that? And I was like, well, we got to go run. I said, I'll go run with you. I might not be able to keep up with you the whole time, but I'll, like we could go to there's a track that's like a high school track that's like a block away. I'm like, why don't we go do a couple laps? And she was like, yeah, that sounds great. And every time I'm like, hey, you want to go? And she's like, no. I'm like, thank God, I'm not gonna ask you twice. Like, I asked. We're good. I asked. If this ever working out is asking.
If this ever does happen, you have to record it.
No, dude, you kidding me? Dude, like, let me tell you, like, you don't see fat guys running on the street. Is the same reason you don't see like ladies running topless. It's because it would cause too many car accidents. Like, dude, if you saw me jogging down the street, you'd be like, that is a lot of movement, and then you'd be like, crash, and like, son of a bitch, and I'm like, sorry. Not sorry. You should have been staring at me. Run.
When's the last time you had to run like a mile? Like back in high school?
Fuck.
Like some sort of test you had to do or some
had to? Yeah, I mean, it was high school, but I was pretty athletic, at least for me, athletic in college. And then for part of my 30s, I was pretty athletic.
Okay.
But, like run on a treadmill or something like that, or bike or roll places, Dude, in college, I used to run a mile and then play 2 games of full court intramural basketball. And like I'd finish it and I'd be like, feel good, let's go. And like, I don't know what happened to that version of Luke. So maybe I drowned him in alcohol and drugs. I don't know what really happened to him. So
you ate him into despair.
Yeah, like I know the other versions of myself. I killed them all myself, murdered them dead.
Yeah.
Wait, speaking of murdering yourself, have you seen Doctor Strange yet? Doctor Strange 2?
The new one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've watched it, yeah.
Yeah. You think it's safe to talk about on here?
Yeah, I mean, you can either watch,
So okay, wait.
watched it or you haven't. You know,
All right.
spoiler
Well, I was gonna
alert.
say the most fucked up part about that movie is exactly what we're talking about. Imagine if you went to another dimension where
Yeah,
there was another Ben Conroy there, but he was super evil, and you had to kill other Ben. Like, you imagine having to go somewhere and like as soon as you get there, you find out you have to kill yourself. Like, kill the other version of yourself. Like, how traumatic! He just totally brushed that shit off, man. Like, oh yeah, that was no big deal. Like, fucking, he killed a version of himself and possessed a dead guy. Like,
yeah,
no problem.
yes. That's a weird movie to begin with, man. That movie is a little out there compared to the other ones. But no, yeah, I think it would even be worse if you like show up to another dimension and it's like a better version of you. You know what I mean?
I would just be annoyed. Like the version of you that did all the shit that you said you would do, right?
In shape,
God, I would be,
fucking
dude. Yeah,
responsible, fucking.
I'd be like, at first, and I'm assuming that version of me is married to my wife, you know. So it's like, what if, like, you see it and you're like, God damn it, my wife looks really happy. Like, that's fucked up. Am I ruining her life? Look, and whoever's
She's
listening to
happy.
this going yes right now, go fuck yourself, okay?
She's happy. The kids are happy. They get
Oh, yeah.
along. You know what I mean? Like you're like
Kids are really like on a roll, successful. Like, you know,
you're like son of a bitch. Like
I don't just
what
ruin
did I do?
podcasts. Apparently, I ruin lives. It's great.
Oh God, dude. Yeah, but no, yeah. So we're getting ready for school, man. That's basically what we're this week. We gotta, like I said, this weekend we're gonna go do the school shopping, and we're gonna get the backpacks and the outfits, and
I look forward to part of that. I like how excited the kids get by that whole experience.
Do you remember like the whole like wanting to dress up for the first day of school thinking? Like, do you remember like having that anxiety of how you wanted to dress or like what I'm gonna wear or you know?
I did always like until I got to like high school. I really did enjoy the first day of school. Like,
Okay.
I remember, and it wasn't really about like, oh, I'm wearing, like I remember like you got your new backpack and you got your new shoes and your
Yeah.
new clothes and you get to see your friends who haven't seen all summer, you know. But yeah, that all changed when I got in high school. I was excited about freshman year, but then every year after that, I was like, everyone could go fuck themselves. Do you ever go to high school reunions?
No. I've never been to one. Have you?
No, dude. And they were just talking to me about what a friend of mine from high school had hit me up because she's like, hey, now that you're Instagram famous, could you teach me to be Instagram famous? And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I haven't talked to you in at least 20 years, but sure, whatever, And then she was like, you should come to the reunion. It's going to be awesome. And I'm like, no, it's all right. Like that means I'm going to have to catch up with all my high school people who remember me from high school, but I don't remember them. Like,
God, that would be awkward. That
dude,
would
they're
be
gonna
like that would be
so
like my
you're into
personal
woodworking, huh? I'm like, fuck you. I want to talk about woodworking to you. You have no appreciation of it.
Yeah, I would think that'd be my personal hell. I think I would because I'm not good with that type of stuff as far as like memories of like remembering people and stuff. Like I like my friends, yes. Like my inner circle at school, yes. But like I've met over the last 20 years or God, how long has it been since I've been in high school?
More than 20 years, bro.
Yeah. It's been fucking a long time. But yeah, I've ran into people and
It's almost 30 years, bro.
yeah. Jeez, dude, that's crazy to think that it's been 30 years. Holy shit. But I've ran into people from high school that I don't
Long
remember.
road down, bro.
When I was working at that bar in my hometown, this was like, 20 years after high school. People would come in and they'd be like, "Oh, Ben, and I'd look at them and I wouldn't fucking recognize them for anything. And they'd be like, "Oh, yeah, we went to, I'd be like, "Oh, what's up, dude?" And he'd be like, You don't remember me? We went to high school together. And I'd be like, completely fucking have no idea who they were. So like, I can't even imagine like now going to a reunion. It would just be like, I'd walk in and be like, I don't know any of you people. I don't fucking recognize anyone. One person.
So what would be worse from you, right? Because I'm in the same boat as you. Like, I could have people walk up. Like, I remember who I was friends with in high school by name, right? But like, if any of those dudes rolled up to me right now, I would not recognize them until they had that awkward experience of like, do you remember me? And I'd be like, no.
Yeah.
Or would it be the experience that my wife has where we moved to Oak Park and she grew up here, and like a lot of people who she went to high school with are around, and they're like, and my wife doesn't have the same memory I do. Obviously, she remembers every fucking thing. So, so like she remembers these people. She's on the other side of that conversation, right?
Oh, okay.
Like but she's not the one who, like, if she sees somebody and they look at her and she knows who they are, but they don't know who she is, she's not going to say shit to them, right?
Yeah.
She's not going to be like, "Oh, hi, so and so. How have you been?" She'd be like, "Oh, thank God that person didn't recognize me." Right?
Yeah.
But I've seen her run into a few people, and they're like, "Jackie from OPRF," and she's like, "Yeah, how's it going?" And then I'm just sitting there trying not to laugh, and then at some point she's like, "This is my husband," and then at that point is my cue to pretend I'm the most boring person alive. I'm like, hello. And afterwards she's like, "What the fuck was that?" I mean, like, I don't want to get in on your shit. Like, that guy seemed super boring. Like, or like occasionally it was like dudes that she had some kind of romantic tangling with. At some point, and they look at me. I'm like, yeah, she settled. So what?
Oh yeah, dude. High school reunion.
Get over it, because I'm getting on it, bro.
Oh yeah, that sounds like
my wife's life one day at a time. No, I don't know. I don't want to. I don't want to rehash the past. I'm always looking forward.
Yeah, no, I'm the same way. Like, and then that was like that working at that bar in my hometown for those 3 years, man, ish. That was that type of experience for me, man. It was just like these people would just roll in, and like I would just, I don't recognize you, I don't know you, I don't remember you.
Still need to see your ID, asshole.
Yeah. And experiencing that on that level was one thing, but like going to like an actual event like that on purpose to fucking torture myself, no, thank you. Not interested.
No. So are you cooler now than you were in high school?
Oh, no, not by any means. I don't think so. I don't think so.
You're an influencer, bro.
Well, I mean, I guess so. I mean,
have a podcast. You're big time now.
I guess. Sure? I don't know. I was a skate. Yeah, I mean, I guess I might be a little cooler today in the like realm of like society and like I don't know, but like back in high school, I was kind of like I didn't care really. I was a skater. I rode skateboards and like I was into punk rock music and I wasn't.
I've seen the pictures. You were cool, bro.
I guess I was cooler then. I don't know.
Yeah.
Man. I don't know if I was ever cool. If I was ever cool to begin with. I don't know if I've ever achieved that.
So when those weirdos come up to you, they're like, "Oh my God, Ben Conroy, how have you been?" You're like, "Who the fuck are you?" You're like, "You were all that skateboard shit. That's awesome."
Yeah, I don't know. I played in the band. I don't know. I think I might have been a dork in high school. Now that I think back, I might have been that guy who was. Oh. I thought I was cool, but I don't know if I don't know. I don't know that I was cool. I don't know.
I was a dork.
Yeah.
Dude, the funny thing is when people hit me up and they're like, "Hey, Luke, man, how's it going? How's the whole barbecue thing going?" I'm like, well, clearly you have not seen or talked to me in at least 8 years, 7-8 years. So
yeah. That's funny.
Like, glad you kept up on it.
How did you get in? I don't know if we've ever asked you that. How did you get into the whole competitive barbecue thing? Like, how did that start?
Same way I got into woodworking, man, except instead of it being on the internet, it was on TV. I was sitting there like stoned out of my mind one day watching a barbecue competition on TV.
Oh,
And
okay.
I'm looking at this. I'm like, I could do this shit. I was like, it doesn't look that hard. And like, so I started, no, wait. I gotten interested in barbecuing and, like Jackie bought me some barbecue cookbooks and stuff, and I'd been cooking and barbecuing, and so I thought I'd watch some TV shows on it, and that's when I saw the competition. And
Gotcha.
oh, this competition. I was like, everyone says my ribs are awesome. I should check this out. And I checked, and there was a competition like 3 weeks away, and it was like, Jesus, Elvis, what are you doing? Elvis was just like sneezing and banging his head on the ground. Jesus, man, chill out. He's like so close behind my chair right now that if I even like adjust it, I'm gonna roll it over him. I know it. I'm gonna have to like Dr. Evil my way around to this chair to get him up. Dude, chill, man. Anyways, so yeah. Oh my! Do you hear him? It sounds like I'm probably having like a loose fart.
I can't hear him.
It's like. It sounds like a horse if they had a coke problem. So like I saw that there was this competition in Libertyville, which is like 30, 45 minutes away from where I lived. And I hit my brother up and I was like, yo, I'm like, this is weird barbecue competition thing. Like, and it's cost like $200 to get into. I'm like, you want to go check it out? And he was like, yeah, sure, whatever. I don't got shit going on. And we went and it was great. We loved it. And so we were like, hey, let's do this next year. Let's find like how many events we could go to. So we would do like between 5 and 8 events a year. We did for like 5 years. And then eventually I got really sick of it because I realized that the judges were a fucking joke. So I was like, I'm out, bitch. So
that you weren't winning?
No, it wasn't that I wasn't winning. You know, the thing about like, So what happened is that like after being in it for like 4 years, I was like, you know what? I was like, I really want to see how the judges are like trained and like so I like if I figured like if I knew what they were looking for, I could tweak my barbecue to do better in competitions. I mean, I won some stuff. Like it was cool. I never won a championship, but I did win. I did win money occasionally. And so I went to this thing, and dude, first of all, the instructor, it was Jackie and me. First of all, the instructor was in the Canadian tuxedo, including the formal wear Canadian hat. I mean, head to toe denim. His boots weren't denim, but everything else, the jacket, the shirt, the pants, the belt wasn't denim. But I was like, this guy is awesome. Like I feel weird when I like grab a pair of gray shorts and I grab a gray T-shirt. I'm like, can't go monotone. So we went to this class and like the first thing that they do sample judging on is chicken, and like this one lady tries it and they start going around and they're like, okay, let's talk about your scores. What did you think? And the one lady's like, yeah, I gave it a 4, which like the way it's judged is like 1 to 10. Like it's like don't give 10s unless it's insane, and like don't give anything less than a 5 unless it's like undercooked or overcooked or whatever, you know.
Yeah,
and it was fine. And like, why did you give it a 5? And she's like, well, I don't like chicken. and like half the room was like, the fuck are you trying to become a barbecue judge if you don't like chicken? Right? And she's like, I don't know, I just don't like chicken, so I'm not going to give it a good score. And they still let her be a judge. Like, and I'm like, because she paid the $30 to get in. Like, everybody passes. There's no test, right? And like, so I'm like sitting there, and like, and people, and they told everyone, like, you know, and a lot of times in these competitions, and I was one of the only like actual competitors that was there getting judged, right? Or judging or learning how to judge. And they're like one of the one of the things is that a lot of times competitors send in extra food just because they want get a higher score on appearance, right? Because like what happens is it'll be like a table of like 6 people, and inside this styrofoam clamshell box is 6 servings, right?
Yeah.
And,
Okay.
and when they open it up, they kind of like pan it around to the table, and
Yeah.
that is your appearance score. So if it's a box filled with meats, like edge to edge, and looks awesome, like, you know, a lot of times you're going to get a good appearance score, and that it's not as important as taste or tenderness, but it is the third one, so it's part of it. So what happens is that, and they're like, well, hey, you know, so if you want, a lot of times there's extra barbecue food at the competition, you could take the extras home, right? And like at one competition, I was sitting there and I see like 4 or 5 judges walk out of the judging tent, not all together, just individually, and they had coolers with them. And I was like, what's up with the coolers? And they're like, oh, there's so much barbecue in there. We're just bringing stuff home for our family. And I'm like, you are here for the fucking free food. You don't give a shit about this competition. I'm sitting out here for fucking almost 48 hours, sweating my balls off, cooking my heart out for you, and you're just like, whatever, you know? And like the way it goes is like certain tables, right? They would call them like there's a term called angel tables, because it's not one table judging the whole competition. It's like 8-10 tables, right?
Okay.
And there was always, in the mix of the 8 to 10 tables, there was always an angel table, which they were just really nice people, and they gave everybody high scores. So if your food landed on that table, you did well, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then there was also the table of death. It didn't matter what the fuck you cooked; they were hating on everything, right?
Yeah.
So they give you shit scores. So like it was like there was like I was just really frustrated about the whole judging part of it, and like I was like, I'd rather just cook for my friends than cook for you assholes. I'm like, it costs a lot of money, dude. Like a barbecue competition would cost me like $1,000.
Yeah. I mean, the food, the entry fee, the time,
Everything.
the gas, all that stuff that goes into it. Yeah. I can
I'd have to
imagine.
rent a van, dude, because I had a fucking BMW. Like I couldn't bring a grill to a park if I wanted to.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So
Sounds like a great deal for the judges, though. I mean, dude,
it is.
they just have to sit there all day and smell barbecue, and then they get to take home as much as they want to their families. It's a fucking great deal.
So yeah, so the moral of the story is don't get into competitions, just be a judge.
Yeah. Just be a judge. You get to eat
Dude,
all day.
there is some look, and it's barbecue competitions are real regional. So I guarantee you there is a California Barbecue Association where they do competitions, and I know that part of that competition is that they grill tri-tip a lot, right?
Yeah.
That's a big one out in California.
Yeah.
So what the hell is wrong with my earpod? So like, dude, like look it up. I mean, I guarantee you, like, if you check it out, like, you could go be a judge, like, easily and go get free barbecue. You and Debbie could be date day.
That sounds amazing. That sounds fucking amazing.
And a lot of these guys in this competition, it's better than any barbecue you get in a store.
Oh, I can imagine. Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Do you have an issue with spending money at a steakhouse or a barbecue place that's expensive? Thinking because like you think like, well, I can make this shit myself, and it's probably going to be better. So like, do I really feel like, I don't know? Like we were in Texas, right? We were at the steakhouse, and my brother was like, I'm not buying a fucking $50 fucking steak because I guarantee you these guys are going to sit here and buy a $50 steak, and half of them are going to complain about the steak when it comes out because it's not going to be cooked to how they want it cooked. And fucking, so to me, it's not worth spending the money on to get a steak that's subpar because I can cook a damn good steak. I know how to cook steak. And if I cook it myself, it's going to turn out perfect every time. He's like this. So he has like this thing, like he won't spend money at a steakhouse on steak because he's like, I can cook my own and it's going to be better. How do you feel about that?
Honestly, I like people cooking for me, so I don't really have a problem with it.
Okay.
But the thing is, though, is that like when I go and I do pay the money, and it's like I know when it's wrong, and I know how they fucked it up. And like the hardest part of it for me is sitting in my seat and not walking into the kitchen and being like, "Look, motherfucker, if you just did this and that and this, your 8 would become a 10." Like, and it's not going to take you any more time or effort. You just fucking skipped a step, or like, you did the step wrong. Like that part annoys me. But it's interesting though. So like, I get asked a lot. I used to get asked all the time, like, "What's your favorite barbecue joint? What's your favorite steak joint?" Right? And like, if you think about like what your favorite steak place is, are you thinking about who has the best steak or something else?
No, my favorite steak place is the place in Fullerton where I used to grow up, and they wrap their fillets in bacon.
I mean,
can't get much better than that. I mean,
nah. Well, so like for me, like what when I think about like best steak joints, right?
Yeah,
it's the steak places that oh, sorry. I thought it was a text message about my kids. Like when I think about steak joints, I think of the place that has the best sides, because I assume that you are going to have the best. You're going to have a great steak, right? If you're like a 4 or 5 star rated steak joint, like if you have a bad steak, like that's a real problem. But it's the sides, to me, is what separates one from another.
That's a pro move, man. That's a pro tip as well. Yeah. It's a pro tip for sure.
It doesn't go that way with barbecue joints though, because like anytime anyone's like, "Oh, what's your favorite barbecue joint?" It's like when I was really into trying. Like at one point, I wanted to try every barbecue joint within driving distance of me.
Yeah,
and I went to a ton of them, and really like people would ask me like, "Well, what do you want?" Like, because if you want the best ribs, this guy has the best ribs, and if you want the best brisket, this guy's got the best brisket, and if you want, the best potato salad, like that's this guy. Like no one was good.
Yeah.
Nobody was the best at everything. So like this one joint here called Smoke Barbecue, they got great brisket, but like his ribs are just fine. They're okay. Whereas this other place that was called Fat Willie's, they had great ribs and hot links, but their brisket was meh.
I'm definitely, if we have a choice of where we're eating, I'm definitely picking Fat Willie's. Dude, the name alone.
Fat Willie's is closed, so.
Oh.
Don't worry though. I got Green Street Meats, bro. Green Street Meats will. They you go there and you're like, you got burnt ends, and the fat dude behind the counter always gets a big smile on his face. Is like, oh, you know what's up.
Oh man, I cannot wait to come to Chicago with you, man, and eat some of that good food, man. Because Austin was great. The food.
I was gonna say bring Vaseline, because you're gonna need it to fit back into the airplane seat when you're right
home. No, my flights were both good. Those were both good. That was a good thing. I'm not a big flyer, so I was happy about that. How about you, man? We've been talking about me this whole time. What have you been up to? Are you guys good? Everything copacetic at the Gelman household?
We're doing some work on the house, which has been frustrating. I think for a project like this, I'm probably going to play the role of contractor next time, because. Oh, but seriously, dude, if you die during this podcast, I'll be so pissed at you.
Jeez.
I love this dog, but goddamn, he's old. So these dudes have been working on the house, and like, dude, I was so fucking pissed at them because like they did the demo. Did I talk about this already? I don't know if I talked about any of this. So they did the demo, and they see that the electrical is in these flexible conduit pipes, right? And they're like, oh, that's not the code. Right, so now we need to redo all this electrical. We need to go into the walls and see how far it goes. And Jackie and I were like, whoa, like, what are you talking about? Like, you need to move an outlet 4 feet. Like, what the fuck? Like, you're not redoing all of the electrical on the third floor of house, because our house is like 200 years old. I know the minute they pop open a wall, they're going to be like, oh, here's something else. Oh, like fucking rabbit hole.
Yeah.
So like, I told them, nuh-uh. So I called 2 electricians. They both said, oh, no, that conduit is code. And Jackie fucking looked up the code on the city's website. And it was
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, there it is. It's to code. It's fine. So like we hit this dude back up and we're like, yo, like I know you put us on the bench for like 2 weeks while you figure this shit out or what you want to charge us with your stupid ass electrician. But hey,
Yeah.
dingus, it is to code. And he was like, oh, I'm sorry, you're right. And I was like, okay, will you come out tomorrow then and continue the work on our house? And they're like, no, we're gonna get to it right away though, which has been another 2 weeks. Dude, they're here
Oh,
like
jeez.
they bring like people here, like it's finally kicked back in, and they bring like people here, and it's like they're here for like 3 hours and then they leave, and then it's like 2 more days until somebody else shows up. And I was like, I don't have the skills to do some of the stuff that you're doing, but I know that if I really fucking wanted to figure it out, I could probably get all this work done within
Yeah.
like a week, right? By myself,
yeah.
not
Oh, yeah.
knowing how to do it, you know? And you fucking assholes could probably get it done in a few hours if you just come and do it, you know?
Yeah, he was trying to figure out a way to get more money out of you. That's what it was.
Yeah.
I mean, he's like, oh, this thing's not up to code. I'm going to have to redo the whole fucking thing. And knowing
Yeah.
you, or most people, they would be just like, okay, just redo it because I don't know, you know?
And like Jackie was like, she's like, what? Why are you so upset about this? And I was like, I fucking hate contractors. Right?
Yeah.
I'm like, and I'm not saying that there's no good contractors. I'm sure there's some great contractors out there, but the contractors in general that I've dealt with are worse than like used car salesmen. They just are like it's their job to make as much money as possible and squeeze as much dough out of every job as they can.
Yeah.
And like they don't give a shit who they step on or fuck over. Like even the tradesmen that they hire. Like one of the dudes was like standing on is a carpenter. He's standing on my front porch.
Are you whispering because he's here?
No, I was thinking for a second he might be here. He's on my front porch, and I was like, "Hey, so do you work with this guy all the time?" And he's like, "Yeah, I do a lot of work for him." He's like, "But I'm a contractor too." I'm like, "I get it. Everybody's a fucking contractor." Dude.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, because I was thinking about maybe getting my porch redone, right? And if the contractor is just going to turn to you and ask you how much it would cost and then upcharge me, I'm like, I would rather you just tell me what the fucking cost is. And he was like, well, we can't tell John about this. And I'm like, I don't fucking want to talk to him anyways. You think I'm going to tell him I'm trying to go around him for some shit? No, like just fucking, here's my phone number. Fuck over your partner. Like, and he was like, okay. I'm like, they're all scumbags. Like, like he could have been at any point like, well, no. John brought me to like John hired him to come do work on my place. You would think that like there would be some kind of respect there where he'd be like, well, John brought me here and like you should really run it through John. No, he was like, you want to fuck him over? Oh, yeah. Like, dude, everybody comes to my house. They are so ready to fuck over the next guy that like I have like, why should I be trying to protect these motherfuckers when they're so quick to fuck each other over?
Yeah, I mean, there's no loyalty in that type of stuff, man. Give me that money, give me that job.
I just told him, I'm like, if it's not a problem for you, why would it be a problem for me?
Yeah, I don't know this fucking guy.
I already hate him, so like, fucking care about him. Yeah, so we've been having this contractor shit, and summer's in full swing right now, still for us. So like, there's a lot of extra kid stuff I got to do, and other than that, it's been cool, man. There's a lot on my, there's a lot of like just random shit happening, and I got a lot of stuff happening in the shop, and it's just I'm trying to get my work stuff cooking, and I'm trying to build this side thing, and this has been busy, which is good.
Yeah. You get that air conditioner in?
Yeah. It was actually really easy to install. I'm just waiting for my cousin to come by to hook up the electric.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to electrocute myself or burn down my garage. So
it's probably a good idea.
Yeah. And guess who will not be calling the city to let them know that I'm fucking doing this?
This guy.
Got 2 thumbs. Exactly. This guy. Who's going to ask for forgiveness and not ask for permission? This guy. So, Yeah, so that's in, and I've been wanting to, I've been wanting to buy a new table saw. I had my eye on the saw stop saw,
Yeah.
and Izzy just put out a video on it saying how the saw was just I'm like,
Oh no, really?
cool.
Damn.
He didn't talk shit about it, but he definitely was like, it's got its drawbacks, and I was like,
Yeah,
you're
well,
so
I mean,
good
if
at
you're not,
woodworking.
I was just gonna
He's
say
like,
it's.
if you're getting
Go
it for
ahead.
the
Go ahead.
safety, it's fine, but if you're not, then I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that version of it. I mean, it's not. It's the job site version, so it's not gonna get. It's not. It doesn't have all the bells and whistles. It doesn't have like, it's just a little scaled down version of the bigger ones. So makes sense that
Yeah.
it's not as good. You know what I mean?
I really wish I could have got that other one that I wanted to get, but the contractor one, but it's just so wide.
Yeah. Oh, dude, let's give an update. Give us an update on because you called me like this week and you were like, "Bro, the Eagle has landed," and I was like, "What?" I was like, "What, dude?" And you were like, "I talked to the neighbor," and I was like, "He's all, I'm not going to tell you about this until the podcast." You gave me a little bit, but you didn't give me the details, and you've been kind of teasing this now for a minute.
So the neighbor has the basement full of tools, is what I had heard, right?
Yeah.
And so I waited for my neighbor to set it up, and I like him. He's a good guy, but sometimes he always assumes people hate him. I'm like, well, who's gonna hate you, dude? Like, I'm way more offensive than you are. Like, like. I don't know, but so anyways, so so Jackie knows I've been wanting to get in this lady's basement. That sounds so wrong, but I want to get in this old lady's basement, and so I saw her in front of her house, or she saw her in front of her house. She's like, "Why don't you go introduce yourself?" I was like, "All right, sounds good to me." So after talking to her for like 10 minutes, she was like, I was like, "Hey, I heard your husband was into woodworking, and I'm really into that, and I was wondering, what if you had old tools for sale or what you were doing, all that stuff." And she's like, "Well, if you want to take a look at it," and she took me down into the basement.
Oh, jeez.
And it wasn't what I was expecting.
Okay.
But it was still awesome. So like I had built it up so much in my head that I was like, in my head, like, you ever watch The Wood Whisperer, right? Back when he had like the Powermatic everything in his shop, and like, like it was just super well organized, and everything was like piped in and like looked amazing. Like, that's how I thought the basement was going to be. And it wasn't. It was more like a dude who was really into buying tools at garage sales and off Craigslist, and it was his collection of stuff. And it, like, he had it all, everything was all kind of set up, but it was still like, it just still was just,
he was the TJ Karate of Oak Park.
Yeah, he kind of, and I don't think he was ever selling anything, but he was acquiring stuff. So I got down there, and he had some really interesting stuff down there. He had this drill press that I'm going to buy, which is an old Delta Rockler tool drill press. What's interesting is it has a foot pedal on it, so like you can push the pedal down and it'll bring the drill bit down, so you could hold a piece with two hands while you're drilling into it. Right? Instead of
that's sweet.
One hand on the crank, one hand holding the piece, right?
Yeah.
I thought that was super cool. He had like a old planer, which apparently was a really nice planer, but he had an old Delta jointer in there, and he had like a bunch of hand planes. He had like one of those number 55 Stanley hand planes, which is like, it looks like a steampunk hand plane, and it's like meant for like rabbiting or something.
Yeah, it's a rabbiting plane, exactly.
Yeah. He had one of those, he had a couple of those. And then he had this one saw, and it was like a swing saw, and it was basically looked like a circular saw on a pivot arm, right? So you would put the wood in there, and then you would pull the saw towards you, and it would kind of like pivot up towards you. And I sent pictures of that to a few people, and I was like, "What do you think this thing's worth?" And they're like, "Avoid it at all costs. It is the most dangerous saw ever created." And I was like, Good to know. So you're saying it's her problem. You're saying.
Oh, that does sound dangerous. That sounds really dangerous. I was like,
but,
I don't know if I want a blade that comes out towards me while I'm cutting. That's scary.
It comes out towards you and it lifts up, right? So, like, if you had a piece of wood there and you didn't have a good grip on it, and you were cutting it and it coming towards you, like it can get real sketchy real fast.
Yeah, yeah. People are crazy.
Hell yeah, they are. So yeah, it was really cool in there. So, but she's not ready to, like, she has this odd emotional attachment to everything, where it's kind of like she's not emotionally attached to it, but she is emotionally attached to her husband, and this is what he was into.
Yeah,
yeah. But she also had like all these cool workbenches that he had picked up, and he cut the legs off of them and made them into like coffee tables and like end tables, and like there was like a bar he had that was a workbench, and like she had this one that she was using at a coffee table. And I like looked at it, and I was like, I think the vise on your bench is probably worth $250 alone without the bench. I'm like, it was like a really cool vintage vice, and like she still had the dogs in the dog holes, and I'm like, do you know what these are? She didn't know what any of it was. I was like, this is pretty. So like I was educating her, and and she was like, what do you want for, I told her, I was like, I'll try to help you. I'll bring in some experts. I'll try to help you sell some of this stuff. And she's like, what do you want for it? And I was like, honestly, nothing. I was like, you're really, I felt bad. Like, she had been without her husband for like 3 years, and he died pretty quickly, and it was painful. So like it is a hard experience. And I'm like, I was like thinking about myself. I'm like, if it was the other way around and it was my mom, right? I'm like, I would want somebody to be kind to her.
Yeah.
Definitely. And she did have a stash of wood too that I saw. And I was like, what are you going to do this? And she was like, I don't know. I was like, do not throw it away. Like,
yeah. No, I mean, that's how Kathy was, the woman who I got the table saw from, and it's kind of the same situation. Her husband was a woodworker for years and passed away, and same thing. It took her like a year or two to get ready to sell. You know what I mean? It's just the sentimental value of like the attachment.
Yeah.
It's the tools. It's not just the tools. It's the memory. If the tools are gone, those memories are not necessarily gone, but they're harder to hold on to, I think, because you can't just walk down and look at them. You know what I mean? So I can understand that, and I can appreciate that. But at the same time, they're not doing anybody any good down there, and I'm sure her husband would love to know that the tools are being used. You know what I mean? And stuff.
I told her, like, when I was looking at it all, I was like, I'm going home from your house today, and the first thing I'm going to tell my wife is that when I die, sell all my tools. Like, sell them all.
Yeah.
Like all the little hand like wrenches and screwdrivers, I'm like, give those Goodwill. I'm like, anything that plugs in that is, that you think is heavy, I'm like, ask somebody what it's worth. Like, I'm like, sell it all. I'm like, because I'd want it to go into the hands of somebody who's going to use it. I don't like it's like there doesn't need to be a Luke museum when I'm gone.
Don't worry, I have that. I'll have that one taken care of. I'll do the museum. She can do the stuff.
Look, you could do the tribute film, right? That's fine.
Yeah. There you go.
But no, like I don't like. I don't have emotional attachment to things anyway. So it's like, it's my mom's like, do you want this china? It was your grandmother's china. I'm like, what? So I could stuff it in a box and then talk Ellie into taking it when I'm dying. I'm like, nah. I'm like, ask my brother if he wants it. If he says no, let's figure out who we can sell it to. Like,
exactly.
Like, I'll tell you what I want. It's not that I don't want anything, but I don't need your art.
What? You're not going to take any of her art?
I mean, they have all these like
no,
really
I'm talking
nice...
her art.
Oh, my mom's stuff? Yeah, the stuff she makes. Yeah, I'll take some of that. But like they got like some photographs in there. They were taken by famous photographers. That my dad says are worth something. I'm like, well, let's find out.
Sell them.
You know,
I don't want to put them on my wall. I want to sell them and put the money in my bank account.
yeah. But I do have like a painting my grandfather painted on my wall. I have two of them. Actually.
Yeah. That's awesome. I have two.
Like that stuff they made. Yeah, like my dad's made some stuff. I'll take that. So.
Oh yeah, anything like that I think is worth keeping. I have two paintings from my great grandmother that are what's so funny.
No, I'm trying not to interrupt you. I won't forget this. So trying real hard not to talk over you, dude. Like seriously.
No, all good. No, I have those paintings from my grandmother. That's it. My great grandmother. That's it. That's all.
Yeah.
Go.
No, I was gonna say the funniest thing about this dude's shop though in the basement, right?
Yeah.
Was when I talked to my neighbor, he was like, "Yeah, man, he's got all this like dust control there. Everything's all piped in and everything like that." And I was like, that sounds cool.
Yeah.
And when I saw this dude's dust control setup, dude, oh god, he had piped it all in, right? But he piped it in with like 2.5-inch gerbil tube, right? So like those like clear tubes that are like orange or yellow or red, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that like gerbils run through. Okay,
Yeah.
He had gotten like a shit ton of that stuff. Okay, at like a garage sale or whatever, and he had piped all his tools in with that clear 2.5-inch tube, and it went to a Craftsman, like 4 horsepower shop vac, right?
Yeah.
I was like, she's like, I'm like, that technically that is dust collection, but I don't know how this fucking shop vac's going to do 20 feet away with 3 90-degree turns in like going from like halfway across the shop to your jointer. I'm like, he did do a lot of woodworking, but the gerbil tube was, and like the funny part was though, is I was like, I kind of want the gerbil tube, right?
Yeah.
I was like, I could come up with some cool projects for that. Like,
yeah, that's hilarious, dude.
No, I was just thinking about that when you're talking about your grandmother's dear hand painted paintings and shit. I'm thinking about gerbil tubes. I'm a real good friend, bro.
It's all good, man.
We should wrap this up, man. Like seriously.
Yeah, let's get out of here. This has been a filler episode for sure. Hickory Home, my
you're gonna give the shout out before you say let's do some shout outs?
Let's do some shout outs.
Yeah.
No, this week my shout out goes to our friend Adrian from Hickory Homestead Creations. I mentioned this a few months ago. She had an event coming up, Friends on the Farm, and it's actually this weekend it's happening. So in Pennsylvania on her farm. I doubt it's too late to get involved. You could probably still buy tickets. You could probably still go and hang out and camp and help paint the barn.
There's a lot of people going there. Dave's going to be there.
Dave Wirtz.
DIY Dave.
Rustic Joy. Yeah.
No, DIY Dave's going to be there scanning people.
Oh, 3D DIY Dave is going?
Yeah.
That
means everyone should go. Yeah.
Yeah.
So people hear this on Friday. So if you hear this on the podcast, and you should leave now.
Like stop listening and get in the car and just go.
No, keep listening because we need that.
Oh yeah.
I'm telling people to listen. You're telling them not. Wow, bro. How far are you falling?
Roles are reversed. Man, you're rubbing off on me here.
It's great.
Yeah. So that's my shout out for the week is our friend Adrian. So go out, check out her event, be there. If, like we said, you're going to hear this on Friday, so you can still get in the car and drive your happy ass down to Pennsylvania and enjoy yourself.
That sounds awesome. Yeah, I love Adrian.
Yeah. Who you got?
I got two. All right. One of them is hard to spell, so I got to make sure I have the spelling up. So the first one, I would like to give a shout out to Luther the Alpaca, which is Adrian's alpaca website or alpaca account. Luther, alpaca with a mullet. Well, the other one is my buddy from Belgium, David, and his account name is Atelier Cube, where you spell it ATELIER space QUBE. This is a really nice dude in Belgium, and he does a lot with skateboard veneers. and he's been making these knives lately that are like little pocket knives, and it's funny. Like I've been buddies with this guy for a long time, and his account, he just hasn't really done. He's picking back up with his stuff, but for a while he seemed like he was shifting jobs or taking a break or something, and but he had this secret contest, right, where it was like in his stories, and he was like, if anybody DMs me and has the right answer to something, they'll win. And like, I of course knew what the answer was, so I DM'd him, and he was like, "Oh, you won!" So he sent me a marking knife, right?
Oh, wow.
And the marking
Sweet.
knife, and the marking knife got lost in the mail, right? And
Oh,
this is like a year and a half ago, and he's never forgot about it. I've forgotten about it at least 2 or 3 times. And and I was complimenting these knives, and he was like, "I'm going to send you one of these knives." And
Wow.
he tagged me in a mention today where he was lasering a box to put the knife in, and he tagged me in it. And I was like,
I saw that.
I was like, "You making a box to send me a knife? Like, what are you up to, bro?" Like, he's like, "It's a secret." He doesn't talk like that, but he's like, "It's a secret." I'm like, "Oh my God." And it's coming from Belgium, so like, even if he ships it this week, it's still going to be like 3 weeks until I see what the secret is.
Maybe he'll put some.
I'll be
chocolate
very
in there with
anxious. Oh, that'd be nice. Maybe put some waffles in there. Ooh. I would love some Belgium chocolate. That'd be great. So,
Dude, I love Belgium chocolate. It's so good.
all right, Patreons.
Yeah. Well, that's a cool chat. I mean, that's awesome. He's giving you a knife. I mean, that's pretty badass, dude.
Yeah, I'll send you a link to it later. Dude's knives he's making are just holy shit. They're cool, and they're it's definitely got like a European style to it. By that I mean it looks different than the pocket knives I usually see around here. So
yeah.
I think it's pretty cool, man. I'm excited that he's making that for me, man. I've had some pretty cool maker swaps, for stuff, and it's pretty exciting. He kind of helped kick off my international friendship making stuff, and he actually told Andrew Zetto about me when my account was like 2,000 followers, and Andrew reached out to me and was like, "You make cool shit, dude," and we've been friends ever since. I want to go visit him in Canada sometime. So.
That's awesome. Here's a joke for you to wrap up our shout outs.
Good.
Knock knock.
Who's there?
Alpaca.
Alpaca who?
I'll pack in the trunk, you pack in the suitcase. All right, here we go.
Dude, you know what's funny? Is that I had a list of woodworking jokes that I was going to start reading you jokes if we ran out of time, because I was thought, like I was like, here, so I'll just pick one of these. Why was the tree's mother angry? Because he was being naughty.
That's awesome.
Why did the tree have to go to prison? Treason.
Why? Treason.
I'll do one more. I don't get that one. I'll just have to go to one I get. Okay. What kind of wood is extremely famous? The poplar.
Poplar one.
It took some dude all day to write this list, bro. You got to give it up.
All right. That's enough.
Patrons.
Patrons.
Yeah, people already stopped listening. It's fine. All right, to our patrons, thank you guys very much. Speaking of patrons, this Sunday we're having a meetup for our patrons where Ben and I are going to design a tortilla press together. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And then we're going to have another one in a month, and I'm going to talk about how to get sponsors and how to manage sponsors and things like that. So to the ones who are invited already, Kyle Foot, the Footman, Footwork Woodworks, Footwork Woodworks, Matthew Gerard from the Wooden Moustache, Lee Oman from Regal Street, still on Regal Street, Big Mike Holmes from the Broken Lead Woodworks.
Congrats on 40K.
Yep. Congrats, bro. A lot of our Patreons are blowing up. You're blowing up.
I know.
Yeah. Dave, are you up to 9,000 yet?
Over 9,000.
Woo!
Close to 10.
See, bro, It's happening.
Yeah, bro.
Dave Wirt, the Mr. One Grit himself. I'll see you soon. My mom, Elise Gelman. Tim from Turgworks, the voice of the show. Dave, the Thriller Miller. He's got a beard like a welcome mat. He's very welcoming and it's big and flat. Billy Estes from Simplewood Wood Co. Corey Stanley from Odyssey _Stan. The official lube of the podcast, Eric from Bumbleshoots. Alan from a Dad to 8 Creates. Collingwood Canoe Company. Grant Jordan, who is doing a Grant from Dad Crafted, who is doing a giveaway right now.
Yep.
And Ryder Clark from Ryder Custom Creations. And still not a Patreon after 34 episodes. Trevor Davis. Nothing, bro. Thank you for nothing. And you got a C&C, and I guarantee you're going to call me, ask me questions, because I had the same exact one. And let me tell you, it's going to cost you. Yep.
Pro quo, my man.
Yeah, it might not be cost you money, but it's going to cost you. So. Yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot for being our Patreons and supporting us. We really appreciate you guys. And if you want to be a Patreon, at the bottom of every episode in the caption, there's a link. You just click it, and it'll take you right over to our Patreon, and you can choose how to support us there. And we'd really appreciate you guys. And thanks a lot for being here. You guys are awesome.
Yeah, thanks, guys. You guys kick ass. And like I said, we're going to have some fun stuff coming up here in the meetups that definitely will make it worthwhile for our party people.
Yeah, and do us a favor. Shout this thing out, man. Share it with everybody. When you
did we get any reviews?
Oh, damn it. I should check
look?
that out. I didn't look. I'm so used to us not getting them. So, but yeah, share it with everybody, guys, on the weekend or, on Saturdays, Sundays. We come out on Friday, so let's blow this thing up, dude.
Confront somebody about our podcast.
Yeah, tell people.
Have you listened to the jointery?
You listened today?
The biggest fear about our podcast is people will think it's about woodworking.
Yeah, I know. No new reviews, man. So
perfect.
If you want to leave us,
guys.
If you want to leave us, leave us a review on Apple or on Spotify, we'll read that live on the podcast. So feel free to do that. All right, man. Let's get out of here, dude. Get us out of
let's
here.
Take it away, Tim. Balls, balls, balls.
This has been a ConMan Creative production. Text us anytime at 908-768-2664 or send us a message on our Instagram, The Jointery Podcast. You can find Ben at Condorosa Creations or Luke at Luke in the Garage. Everywhere that social media is sold. That's garage, not garage. Say it properly.